Well, so we have our guest in the studio, Fred Amankwasafo. He's a member of the MPP. He's also an entrepreneur as well, but we're here to discuss issues this morning. Thank you for joining me, Fred Amankwasafo.
Thank you very much, my brother. It has.
All right. When was the last time I called you? Been a while, eh?
It has been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
I should be calling you often. We're very good friends, so we should be talking a lot more. But let's look at what we can discuss this morning. There's this very issue about whether there could be likely leakages from the examinations that are taking place, etc. And we know that it's a concern for many parents as well. Do you have any child writing the BECE?
Yes. Ajoa Mankwawia is writing today at the Christian
Your daughter?
Home. Yeah, my daughter.
Oh.
Yeah.
At which
Christian
school?
Home Academy at Dansoman. I just dropped her before coming here.
Christian Home Academy?
Yes,
Okay.
Dansoma. And I wish her the best. I know that she's prepared. I hope that we don't have any leakages. Because if you look at it, you see the trauma the kids are going through, sleepless nights, even at the basic level. The last thing you want is to have examination malpractices or leakages that would lead to suspicions and cancellation of exam papers. So Ajoa, I wish you the best, and I pray that you come up with success, and your classmates as well. And also wish all Ghanaian children writing today their first paper, I wish everybody the best of luck.
There are always fears about leakages, etc. How do you think that following the scandals over the last year, 2 years or 3 years running, we've been able to manage it, and that we've learned great lessons?
Well, I hope that we have, but I still would be very cautious with my optimism, because we've had it over and over again, and I have not seen any punishment, so to speak, at the highest level of WAEC, those who manages our examinations. And I think that listening to the Deputy Minister of Education, Ablakwa, say that they are going to hold WAEC accountable, I think that over the years we haven't been able to hold those who really cause these leakages very accountable, or if they have not been made public. Leakage of examination goes to the heart of education, and it hurts the integrity of certificate that is being given to the children, and you do not know who to trust. I keep warning my daughter that, look, if anybody comes to you with anything at all that resembles exam malpractices, report to me and I'll take it up. Because if you don't, somebody else would. Or today we have technology that would be able to see that exams leakages have been detected. And so if you rely on people pushing examination papers to you, leak papers to you, it means that you are compromising your future. And a disciplined child is a successful person. And so if you're not disciplined, you would go after exam papers. And I hope that Ajoa listened, and that Christian Home Academy will not encourage, and most schools will not encourage that exam papers leak are shown to the children.
Which secondary school is she going? If she?
She's picked every girls, and my first child went to St. Augustine's, and he's at Legon now, and so Ajoa says she wants to go.
Ajoa is second.
Ajoa is second. She wants to go to every girls. I hope that she gets it. I hope that she gets the best of grades and then get admitted.
Same school, right? Christian International Academy.
Christian Home Academy.
Okay.
But Kofi was in West End International, yeah.
Charlie, the international. Starting today, these are the number of students. 461,013 candidates are expected to sit for this year's BECE. And they are from 14,264 public and private junior high schools. And the candidates are made up of 239,963 males and 221,050 females, and they'll be supervised by 15,695 invigilators. Now, beyond all this is about, sometimes when they come out, the struggle for the secondary schools and things like that.
Yes,
Because the irony is that we don't want them to go to the public schools. We want them to go to the international schools and the private preparatory schools. But when it comes to secondary, we want all of them, because it seems that we seem to have almost a not too trustworthy basic system, but a very trustworthy secondary system.
And even tertiary as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as a nation, I think we haven't done much. At the formative ages of our children, we should have given them the best of education. We should have had public institutions at the basic level more potent in bringing up our children passing examination than even the secondary schools and the tertiary schools. I would have expected that tertiary institutions would have been more private, because at that time the children are already grown and they know exactly what they want. At that age, primary schools, we still haven't gotten it. And that is how I am so enthused and very very happy about Nana Akufo-Addo's concept of free education at the basic level. And then where we are moving basic level to the SHS. If we do that, we would be able to have a lot more people passing. And we shouldn't even, I don't think at this age we should even use basic examination as the precursor to going into secondary school. We should have it a wholesale so that people would gradually move into it. We shouldn't have basic education as like completion of your basic school. You should have it at the SHS level. And I'm hopeful that Ghanaians are discerning, and then they will vote for Nana Akufo-Addo so that we shall implement the free SHS policy, where struggling for spaces in secondary schools would not be a problem. We should have more senior high schools built. We know our numbers. When we were 12 million, we cannot still be 25 million and expect to have schools. The number of schools are not.
But Fred, the truth is that it's not the number of the schools that are available. It's because people they want to clog their wards in some few secondary schools, because the perception that they are
what is in Achimota, or what is in Abri Girls or St. Augustine's or Adisada, that cannot be replicated in, for example,
you went to Augustine's?
No, I went to Ghana Secondary School, and I think Ghana Secondary School is doing very well now. Why can't we replicate it?
They've always done well, really. It's only that we have some tier of schools.
Why can't we replicate it in Asafo Secondary School or Chobodom Secondary School, for that matter? What do we have in these schools that as a nation we have not been able to come to grasp with it, that people would want to push into schools that are first-class schools? This year, as a parent, and I got involved with the address selection of schools, I realized that you cannot choose certain schools, 2 to 3 schools. Schools have been classified into first class, second class, and
give me an example. So what happens? So let's say we have schools in tiers.
Yes.
So you have a first tier school, a second tier school.
Yes.
You say class, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And
so
then the last year.
Well, so if you pick a particular school,
let's say
Achimota Secondary School, you may not be able to pick another school.
In that same category.
Yes, you cannot pick first choice and pick this another.
So you can't pick Achimota and pick Infantipim.
Yes, you can't pick Achimota and pick Infantipim as your first and second choice.
So how
so you pick Achimota and then you pick another school. For me, this discrimination this discrimination also goes to affect the perceptions we have about people coming out of
Isn't it also to create the balance, so that you compel people to choose, and over time you try to strike the balance?
Yes, but my brother, I think
because people will choose Abri Girls, and then perhaps not, and then will choose Archbishop Porter's, and then perhaps
you may not be able to choose Abri Girls and Archbishop Porter's because they are all in the same category.
You may not be able to.
Yeah, you may not be able to. But for me, what fundamentally we're lacking as a state, as a nation, is our inability to replicate what is in the Achimotes and the Abri Girls in their Asafo Secondary Schools and the Chobodom Secondary Schools. We should be able to. So because it's not the location, because you have St. Rose's, you have St. Peter's in Kwetia, and they are doing extremely well. So no matter where the school is placed, if we have good teachers there, if we have facilities for the students, good facilities for students, residential and academic facilities for students, they will come out well. Because most of the teachers who are teaching in these schools, they went to the same university.
There's a school in Dodo, it's called Christian High or something. Is it a public school or a private?
I'm not so sure about
Okay,
that. I don't know about that. Yeah.
All right.
So let's get our fundamentals right. And if we do get our fundamentals right, we may not have to be struggling to go to the so-called first-class schools in order to come out of the universities.
How would you classify your school?
Ghana Secondary School.
Second class.
Well, I don't hold the authority to classify schools,
but you have been choosing schools based on class. That's why I'm asking.
No, I have.
When you were looking through the list,
because Ghana's was part of the first class schools. Because
Ghana's was?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Don't worry. I'm just pulling your leg. 5 persons killed overnight in heavy rain storm as they swept through central regional capital Cape Coast and its surrounding areas. And we'll be calling very soon Richard Kojonyaku, our correspondent on the ground. But just the rains seem to have wreaked havoc. But sincerely also, nature also seems to have coincided with our unpreparedness.
Well, we can always blame nature for such things. But this is not tsunami. I mean, if you prepare and you are overwhelmed, that is fine. But the rains we are having are nowhere near disaster levels. Disaster levels. They are nowhere near.
You're serious?
Yes, I'm serious. I think what we are experiencing is man-made. When in 2001, when President Kufuor assumed the presidency of this nation, we had issues at is it Odona? No, we're here. Alajo. You remember? Somewhere in the 90s and the 80s, Alajo was a flashpoint, and you wouldn't want to go near there when it rained. Today we have storm drains that had been constructed by the NPP administration. And while these are going on, nobody's talking about Alajo. We seem to have forgotten that Alajo was the bedrock of all some of these rain disasters. But we have a president who thinks that riding around in motorbikes, expensive motorbikes in Accra, is the best means of solving our flood situation. It cannot be. It cannot be. And the president must sit up and stop this joy ride in town, ostensibly to inspect drains and to inspect floods. What is he going to do on a motorbike? Such expensive motorbike that is costing about 1.6 million Ghana cedis. I mean, you would see clearly that he doesn't care. A president who does not care about what is happening in this country. For countless occasions, we've had the president instruct the Minister of Finance to release funds. We had the Chinese and the Japanese embassy coming to our aid, giving us grants to solve the flood situation, sanitation situation in this country. And what do we see? We come back and talk about nature overwhelming us. Well, we have our friends say that, okay, we've had floods in Europe, we've had floods in France and in England. And so having floods in Accra is nothing to worry or to comment about. But we seem to forget that the system we have put in place, our construction, our road construction, our storm drain construction, that does not meet what it should to prevent. If we had the same rainfall that is going on in Europe, in Accra, I'm sure that you and I will not be here. We may not be able to get.
Are you saying there's a lot more rain in Europe than?
Yes, the rains that come in to cause that havoc in Europe, we shouldn't even compare it.
We would have been overwhelmed.
Even now, when you see the list of drizzles,
You're shivering down your spine.
Yes, you are shivering. On Saturday, I heard that there's going to be 4 hours of rain on Sunday, and you can see everybody was like calling and asking whether you are safe, and you are also calling to find out whether your loved ones and friends are safe or they should keep away from certain areas.
Okay.
Look, we had over 150 of our nationals die when rains hit Accra last year. A year on, exactly a year on, the same area is experiencing floods.
Wow.
And we talk about nature overwhelming us. Men cannot always blame nature for things. If you are a Christian, you say that you should have dominion over everything. You should have dominion over nature. You should prepare. And this is not rocket science, and people have done it before in other countries. We can replicate them. We should not wait and then go and pray. If we pray and we don't put up enough storm drains, yes, the prayers are important, but they are not
So
solutions.
ultimately, what we need is a master plans for the various cities that we're churning out. Because now we're experiencing it in other parts just beyond the capital. It also means that the plans need to be in good stead.
Exactly.
And they have to be followed through to the letter
Exactly.
in implementation.
Exactly.
This is not
in
politics,
Cape Coast,
right?
You can't you can't. There's no way you can take politics out of what we are going through. You cannot, because it is the president, the government that would have to construct these drains. It's the government that can take loans to construct the drains. I'm sure that if Nana Addo woke up one day and said that he was going to construct underground tunnel to ensure that drains, rainwater gets into the sea, people would raise issues about it. People would say, you are not in government, okay? And it is only government that can raise enough revenue through taxes to ensure that we get these infrastructure developed in a way that will help us achieve our national objective. We cannot wait for another 150 people to die and have the president come out to say that he has instructed the Minister of Finance to release funds to construct drains in Accra. Next year, we will come back here if we don't do the right thing and come and talk about these things. It's unfortunate that people are being killed. I wouldn't say dying. They are being killed through these drains. And so we must all be careful. We have a government who does not care. So as individuals, we must be careful when it is raining, how and where we are when rains begin.
We'll see how that goes. But the news we got this morning from Cape Coast is that we had 5 people who died as a result of heavy rains experienced during the day, especially overnight, in the central regional capital and its surrounding communities. And among the deceased or those who lost their lives is one who got electrocuted. Major roads also got flooded. Some sections had trees falling. And I was asking Fred Amankwasa, for my good friend, whether nature also didn't perhaps tend to kind of coincide with the tragic incidents we're reporting. But Richard Kwejunyako is on the line. Now, Richard, so what is being done by NADMO? Are they first going to assess the situation before they start doing anything else?
Well, last night NADMO was on the ground, and this morning they told me that they are stepping out and they are reaching out to the people who are badly affected, especially in the commended Negua for a Brim municipality. And this is the community or the municipality that recorded 4 deaths. Building collapsed on 3 people, and the floods also carried 1 person away. And there were several communities that were inundated by these floods. Some communities were completely cut out of the other communities. The residents of some of these communities had to also cut open the main road leading to one community to the other to allow the free flow of water to pass through, because at Akabasi, for instance, on the Cape Coast, the Takrady road, they had to cut open that particular road to ensure that the water would flow freely to the other part, because the entire community was getting submerged. A lot of property have also been destroyed, and so NADMO is on the ground at the moment, and they are calling for more relief items such as mattresses and the other things to be able to carry these people to the classrooms as they usually do, so that when the floods recede, they would look for the appropriate solutions to whatever problem that has been created.
You keep mentioning the KE, that's Commander Idina Eguafru Abrim. Is it a municipality?
Yeah, it is a municipality.
Okay. Now, particularly for, let's say, communities like Eguafru and Abrim, etc., have they been affected? I'm asking this very question because I know those communities are not as far as the state in which they are, like the main towns of Elmina, Cape Coast, etc.?
Yes, these communities, mostly the communities which you mentioned, they are mostly farming communities, and most of their farms have been flooded. And some of the communities, the buildings that are there are not the concrete or the cement type. Most of them are the thatch and the mud houses. And so that was really what happened at Kwahin Krum, where the the building collapsed on these three persons. And so with these communities that I keep mentioning, these are the communities that do not have strong buildings. And so this kind of incessant rain or the torrential rain that happened in the central region really affected, and it was actually accompanied by some thunderstorm, lightning, and the others. And so people had to really run for their lives. There was a heavy vehicular traffic on that particular stretch of the road, because the road prevented the vehicles from moving, because you couldn't even see what is even ahead of you. If you get to Elmina, the Itre River then also overflowed boundaries, and so people had to be kept at one side of the river and the other side of the river. So that's why we keep mentioning Edna Egua for a great minister. But when it comes to Cape Coast, it is also a similar situation, because areas like Abra, Adesadel, Amamoma, and all of that. And you remember, Mama, in the morning conversation that we had, that the electricity pole fell, and then one had to be electrocuted because some of the wires fell into the water, and anyone who passed through indicated that, the person was going to be electrocuted.
Well, thank you, Richard Kojenyako, our regional correspondent, Central Region, giving us the latest update, in which we're told that at least some residents were also affected badly following overnight rains, but also 5 lives were lost. Among them, 1 was electrocuted. And we hope that NADMO and the other emergency bodies would have some relief for those affected communities, but particularly those affected residents. But let's